The genre of superhero movies was certainly going through an interesting phase during the early 2000s, where in the prior decade, the 90s, they were admittedly having a little bit of excess fun with the concepts and the properties.
Chicks dig the car.
This is why Superman works alone.
And while one could certainly say that they were just making the most of the high concepts that comes with superhero stories,
what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
It was all getting a little too far-fetched for mainstream moviegoers, so in order to win back that audience, following superhero movies of the 2000s dialed back the excitability of the adaptations. And while yes, today we're back in the balance of high concept fun and tackling more serious stories with superheroes, but in the 2000s it was important to show viewers that superheroes could be sentimental with their drama. And easily, no other superhero film was more grounded than Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight Trilogy. The series has especially left an impression for the following DC movies. For if you either love them or don't find them as well executed as the prior movies, the trilogy's impact cannot be overlooked. Now a little bit of behind the scenes curiosity of the trilogy is the subject of their deleted scenes, or at least lack thereof. As to date, no deleted scenes from the trilogy have ever been released publicly. In an MTV.com interview back in 2012, Christopher Nolan had this to say on the matter. Pretty much with all my films, there are very few deleted scenes, which always disappoints the DVD crowd. Now at face value, that quote may imply that there's nothing to see on the cutting room floor, but fans of the Dark Knight trilogy have compiled enough evidence together to format a list of possible deleted scenes that still remain unreleased. So today, let's look through every possible missing scene related to the Dark Knight trilogy. Oh, and before we begin, make sure you're subscribed so I can feed my cat. That's right, lovely. Batman Begins at least has 7 confirmed unreleased deleted scenes. Our first known deleted scene is Bruce Wayne on the monorail, returning back from his college education. When arriving to his final destination, Alfred is there to pick him up. From there, they discuss on the management of William E. Roy's contribution to the Wayne Corporation. As of now, there's only one still to represent this missing deleted scene.
Your father would be ashamed of you.
The scenes of Bruce Wayne at the docks were trimmed and were meant to be slightly longer in length. If they were meant to be either dialogue scenes that were shortened or just cut B-roll footage, I was unable to find any clarification on this. A scene set on top of Raz's temple, where Ra's al Ghul asks Bruce if he feels responsible for the death of his parents, where Bruce responded, "If I had only not been afraid, my parents would still be alive," with yet again only one picture emerging from this deleted scene. Prior before Bruce would explore the caverns and caves beneath his family home of Wayne Manor, he would reminisce in the dilapidated greenhouse, in the script describing seeing visions of Rachel as a young girl, running and playing in the abandoned greenhouse, with one still re-emerging from this deleted scene. There also appears to be a deleted scene where Bruce Wayne would have explored a waterfall, which would later become the driveway for the Batmobile, which would lead directly to the Batcave. In another deleted scene, Judge Falcone with a mistress is leaving Falcone's nightclub. After entering his limousine, there would be a homeless man that would approach and knock at his window. Faden sternly asks the driver to put the pedal on to get rid of the homeless man, which he sternly does. It's revealed that the homeless fella was in fact Bruce Wayne, secretly taking pictures of the judge, and would later hand over the developed film to Rachel as his alter ego, Batman.
Nice coat.
In the teaser trailer to the film, there's narration and a scene of Bruce Wayne within the Batcave, describing about his role as Batman, which was not seen in the final print. This shot of Batman standing on top of the city landscape is only yet again seen exclusively in the trailer, as well as Batman carrying Rachel in Arkham Asylum just before Gordon turns up in the premises. In the final cut, the whole scene was shortened, as it was meant to go on for slightly longer. The promotional photo shoot of Batman carrying Rachel did get to make it within the promotional material of the film. While none of the deleted scenes I've mentioned so far have ever been shown publicly, nor for the other upcoming deleted scenes that have yet to have been mentioned in this video, we have at the very least received one publicly accessible deleted scene from The Dark Knight. available only on the Blu-ray of the film, exclusively in one of the documentaries. After the Joker blows up the hospital and makes his getaway within the school bus, we were meant to see an interior shot of the vehicle, seeing the Joker, not giving it a second thought or a glance, as the destruction carries on behind him. And yes, the explosion is real, no CGI, with both the interior shot and the exterior shot being all filmed at the same time with only one take. An interesting thing worth noting that the shot was ever so nearly spoiled. The trigger for the explosion didn't work as initially planned, so the actor Heath Ledger improvised, making it look like that he had a faulty machine. Fans of the film have additionally noticed that there's alternative takes in the trailers.
So what are you proposing?
It's simple. Kill the Batman. It's simple. We kill the Batman.
And while certainly with the Heath Ledger Joker, fans would love to see nothing more but the alternative takes that the actor brought to the character, there are still several unseen deleted scenes that are still hiding away in the Warner Bros. Archives. There are currently 6 known deleted scenes. This included an extended opening, where on the streets the Joker is bribing a woman, a missing scene within the parking garage, of the gang setting up prior to the Joker's arrival, a scene that would have explained how the Joker escaped Bruce Wayne's temp house. This particular one is the only one we have of a still to give us a visual record of what it could have looked like. An absent backstory on how Harvey Dent met Rachel. As I talked about earlier, the scene of the exploding hospital was ever so slightly trimmed for the final cut, but there was meant to be a follow-up scene where we would have seen the aftermath one day after the explosion. Bruce Wayne would have entered on the derelict premises, making a financial contribution and donation to get the site rebuilt. The final known deleted scene is the GCPD has a running gun battle with the Joker, taking place after Gordon is killed in the story. Christopher Nolan is fairly tight with his scripts, to such an extent that it doesn't leave for much excess footage to be filmed. As we've seen with many of these prior deleted scenes, they seem all around fairly inconsequential to the main plot. Aside from those trim moments of the Joker from The Dark Knight, it's hard pressing to find a deleted scene that truly distinctly stands out. Basically, in simpler words, if we had the luxury of seeing the extended cuts for the last 2 previous Batman films, if the viewer wasn't paying close enough attention, then they may very easily miss many of the new scenes. Although with The Dark Knight Rises, there was apparently a 4-hour rough cut that was presented to Warner Bros. Executives, which would roughly be an hour and 15 minutes longer than the final cut. Although, let me stress that this is merely only according to inside rumours, and that this has not been officially endorsed or confirmed by Warner Bros. Or the cast and crew. But if we were to entertain the idea that this was true to some degree, then the edit was likely not a realistic final cut. Usually with most movies they do an assembly line, putting together all the available footage untrimmed. This could be lines of dialogue that was extended, unused B-roll shots. Not to say there might not be any exciting footage in there, but take for example the extended cut of the 1978 Superman movie. It more or less combines all the available footage together, which doesn't inherently mean a superior cut, as some scenes may have been trimmed or cut due to pacing. But we do have confirmation of one deleted scene that would have been fairly significant to The Dark Knight Rises. That being Bane's expanded backstory. This scene was revealed shortly before the movie was released by costume designer Lindy Henning. In an interview by GQ, there was a scene where we would have seen Bane, locked up by chains, standing on some form of a wooden platform. A crowd of people are verbally and physically attacking him, while he's wearing an early version of his mask, which going by the early concept design, the design would have fitted closer in line with the comic book counterpart. And further looking at the concept design, we would have seen the true extent to the damage on his back. Today, it's not known on what else may have been in that theoretical additional 4-hour rough cut. So what are the chances that we'll ever see these scenes make an official release? Well, very likely, not anytime in the near future. Usually in these types of situations, it would be the company that would get the final say as to what would be released. Going by the Justice League Zack Snyder cut situation, if it wasn't for the devoted fanbase showing their interest and support, then we would have likely never got to have seen the extended cut. So from that, we know directors don't usually have a lot of leverage. Director of Suicide Squad, David Ayer, has been struggling to get his own director's cut out there. But even if the director did had some direct say, Christopher Nolan really doesn't have any interest into getting these missing scenes out there. But even so, going by the available information, aside from maybe a backstory from Dark Knight Rises and The Dark Knight, there doesn't seem to be any scenes of notable highlight. So maybe a reason that there hasn't been a big push behind the scenes as far as we know is maybe we're not missing out on too much. But hey, you never know, maybe a little bit of fan support might just change the mind of some executives.
It's not about money. It's about sending a message.